All right, welcome back to another episode of the Mainly Celtics podcast. We've got a sort of a different take on today for you all. We'll start off obviously with some Celtics news. We got a lot of buzz this week, but in a little bit, maybe 30 minutes or so, we'll have a good friend of the program on, Rick Wyman, to talk about the recent Red Sox woes. But first and foremost, this week was a full week, Maddie. We had Summer League. We had some guys get extended. Let's start with the Summer League. This was Sunday, correct? Last Sunday?
Yeah, it must have been Sunday. It must have been Sunday because we're pretty sure we recorded Saturday night, right?
Right.
Or Saturday morning. So it had to be. Yeah, so it had to be Sunday. But that was just ugly. Was the word that I would use.
28 turnovers.
Yeah, I think I shut it off when it was like it was like 25-5 or something like that, the turnover differential. And that was so huge. They didn't even have to set up their half court offense for most of the game.
Yeah.
It's some absurd points off turnovers. Pritchard was really just stifled, especially in the first half. I think he only had 2 points the entire first half. I'm pretty sure it was like on a putback as time expired.
I think you're right, yeah.
So, Davion Mitchell, credit to him, dude. He's going to be an elite defender in the NBA. I wouldn't be surprised. Second year in the league, he's making an All-NBA defensive team.
That's high praise. I mean, he didn't look great offensively. I'm looking at some stat lines here. Just 3 from 12 from the floor, 7 assists. So, for the Kings, Lewis King tallied 21 points. Jamias Ramsey added 16, and Kings blew out the C's 100-67.
I mean, offensively for the Kings, and I mean, really for the Celtics too, no one stood out because, like I said, the Kings didn't have. It wasn't like these guys were making all these tough shots. Like a lot of ththese points were coming in transition. Like there were a lot of easy baskets.
Mm-hmm. That's no way to win a game. And I mean, what do you know the final turnover tally was like 28-7, something like that?
Probably something around there. But I think it was Greeny that tweeted out. I'm pretty sure they had 23 turnovers the 4 games previous.
Yeah.
So they had more turnovers in one game than they had the 4 games in the summer league before that. It was just sloppy basketball. I mean, that's the only way to put it. It sucks that we weren't able to. I mean, championships, summer league championships don't matter, but at the same time, it's like you like to see your guys playing well. Romeo was out. Obviously, that was the key factor because clearly Romeo's the cog that makes the engine run.
Absolutely.
But
before we won't stop saying
yeah. I mean, no one really looked great. I do think that we're going to see some positive signs out of Pritchard this year. It does look like he's really started to become a playmaker. I think he's going to be a great sixth man. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be the sixth man, but he has all those tools now to be, which I was worried about last year. Really leading an offense at all. He doesn't have the playmaking, doesn't really look for guys as much as I'd like, but he seems to find a balance between scoring and passing, which is really good. Neesmith's obviously taking a big jump, and I think Hauser's going to be impactful in games that he does play too.
Right. People, I often forget that Hauser did sign that 2-way contract. He's going to get a handful of games, maybe 20 games of action, would you say? Because it's 45 days on the roster.
I would say I'd probably go under there unless there's some serious injuries. But at the same time, we are pretty thin there. So maybe if early season doesn't go on and say Grant and Jabari are struggling, maybe they do call him up, give him a little bit of run at the 4 and see if he can be impactful just with his ability to space the court. I think the Jays would really appreciate that, just having a guy that the defense has to account for at all times. I think down in Maine, they're probably going to really focus on developing him as a team defender. I don't think with his athleticism, he's ever going to be an elite on-ball defender at any position. But he seems like a really high IQ player, and his defense seemed to improve even throughout the summer league. He just seems like a smart player, which is you can always do stuff with smart players.
Absolutely, and he's older. He's been around a predominantly defensive-focused basketball team for the last 2 years at Virginia. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I hope you get to catch him in a couple Portland games.
I would absolutely love to. I can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be sweet. So it sort of stinks that the C's didn't end up going undefeated. I mean, but it is what it is. It's a summer league. It was nice to see some young guys really ball out, to see Yam and to see Bagarin play good basketball for the most part. Those guys won't be on any roster this year, but
no, yeah, they're both playing overseas again. I believe Bagarin's sticking with the same team, but I think Yam's going to like the second best league in Europe, so that should help with his development a whole lot.
Absolutely, he's still a young kid too. What? He's only 22. Yam?
He's not too old. And Bagarin's like, I'm pretty sure he's still like 18 or 19. He looks like, and he looks like a grown man on the court. Like his strength is certainly not his issue. So he just needs a little bit more skill development.
Yeah. The kid was born in 2002.
That's wild.
It's crazy, man. Like it's bonkers to me. One bright spot out of this week with the summer league wrapping up, Peyton Pritchard, first team all summer league. They added, it was 7 players, I believe.
Yeah, it's very, very summer league-ish. Pretty sure they co-MVPs and
co-MVP.
And 7 on the first team. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I don't understand the reason they just didn't want to have to decipher ties or do revotes or whatever. But no, Pritchard, I mean, he deserved it. I think when the vote, because the vote was prior to the summer league championship, or was it after?
For first team, I believe, but not for MVP.
Okay, because I know, like, obviously, I think headed in, I thought it was odd though, because he only played 2 games or 3 games. He played 3 games, correct? Yeah,
3. Yeah,
he played 3. Okay, so I just thought that was kind of odd. They would. I mean, obviously, it's only 4 games total, but I mean, you miss a quarter of the games. I was kind of surprised they did vote him in, but he certainly deserved it just with his play when he was on the court. Yeah. He averaged like 20 points and then 8 point something assists per game. Like those are just absolutely incredible numbers, especially over 10-minute quarters. So he was more than deserving of that first team nod, and I'm glad. Hopefully, he can take the momentum going forward and continue to show the flashes he's shown this summer league.
I would disagree with you there. I don't think that was flashes. I think he was like I mean, and the vote determines that he was a top 5, top 7 player in this whole summer league in the young system, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I just say flashes because the sample size is just so small. Fair enough. We have, like, obviously we've seen him be a productive player. Like I said a couple weeks ago, I was like, I'm not concerned with Ian Smith. I believe at the very worst, Peyton Pritchard's just going to be an elite spot up shooter and a guy that can hold his own against other point guards defensively. But he's shown through 3 games, I mean, averaging 8-something assists per game. Like, that's impressive to me. Will he be able to continue to make those passes, continue to have that same balance they've shown in the regular season, they've shown during the summer league, in order to be a scorer as well as a playmaker, set other guys up? So that's really what I'm looking forward to, because that I just consider a flash. Because I mean, it was 3-4 games that he was really showing that he could be that plus playmaker.
And 10-minute quarters, he's only getting 5-6 minutes of run time each quarter. Yeah,
and obviously it's much lesser competition, and where the competition really lacks on the defensive end. Like, these guys defensively certainly are a lot sloppier on the most part than their offensive game. Like, these guys are skilled enough to score in the NBA. It's a lot of times playing within an offense, playing more team ball is what they struggle with, or playing within a defense.
I think you're right there. Yeah. But all in all, successful summer so far. And that leads right into a couple signings. First, we had Marcus Smart. What was it? 4 years, $77 million.
Yep, it was, I believe, the max extension of what he could sign, because I believe you can only sign 150% or like 100%. Yeah, because he's current. Yeah, I think you only sign 150% like average annual value of what your current deal is. Mm-hmm. So he was making like, I think 14, 15 mil, and he's bumped it up to now. I believe he's making 17 and a half mil. Is that what he's?
Yeah, I think I can't do that.
No, 19 and a half mil, 77, 19 point something.
Right. Stephen A said it best. You're getting one of the premier defenders in the league, a locker room champion, a USA basketball alumnus, and the heart and soul of your team for 4 more years for less than $20 million. In today's NBA economy, that is an absolute steal. I'd like to hear your initial thoughts on it.
My initial thoughts on it. Let me think. I really like it. Obviously, I was big in the favor of re-signing Marcus Smart. It seems like though I'm a little worried about our long-term flexibility. I do think that this team right now is currently constructed, and we'll talk about Rob's deal later, but it does seem like we're trying to build around the Jays from when they hit their peak, not necessarily to win right now or win maybe next year, when these guys have show that they're at their best of their best. So I like it. I think it's a very fair deal. I think it's a good deal. And I do think that in the case of a superstar becoming disgruntled, you could easily trade that. Everyone's going to want Marcus Smart for under $20 million. We saw a bunch of guys sign for right around there that aren't all NBA defenders, aren't guys that are plus playmakers for their position, guys that you really could multiple switchable defenders. Everyone wants switchable defenders in the NBA. It's switchable defenders and 3-point shooting. Everyone wants that. And Marcus Smart provides that versatility defensively. And obviously, like I said, he's a great passer. He's shown flashes. He's had years where he's been a league average shooter. That's obviously not his primary skill. But he's a guy that's just, it's a great cult. Like, he's the Boston Celtics culture.
Absolutely. And and Boston Celtics all-time 3-point leader in one game.
Yeah, he has a single season record. I think that it's looking like with it before this contract ends, unless Jalen and Jason catch him, which he does have a pretty decent advantage just because he has quite a few years on him. But I think that it's very likely he's second all time in Celtics 3-pointers behind Paul Pierce.
That's just where he should end up.
Which is just very funny because obviously you don't think of Marcus Smart as a 3-point shooter first, but
no,
he's won the Hawk, and I think that I think it's good for the culture. I think he's a guy that you're going to be able to, if you want to, have on your team as that fourth or fifth option. We talk about that. Like I talk about guys like Danny Green. We talk about that with like OG, just those guys that just kind of fit, and you can do a lot of different things with them. You can move them around in order to assemble this perfect roster. And I think Marcus Smart's going to be a guy that's going to really help them win. And I think Brad talked about today, and when they officially announced it, he said there's a reason Marcus Smart's never been on a team that's missed playoffs. Like, he just plays winning basketball.
Absolutely. That's all he does. Does it, Mark? For all the quote unquote boneheaded shots that he takes, every time he touches the ball, it's a move in the positive direction. He is looking to win every single possession. And you're exactly right. I think, and Brad's right too. I think, personally, I believe Brad is right to extend Marcus. There was really no reason not to. The guy, like you said, is the heart and soul of this team, is solely focused on winning.
Yeah. I also feel like he just kind of felt the pressure of, he didn't want the turnover. He didn't want the turmoil of the team. I think he realized that he needed to reinside Marcus, and he resigned him for a deal that I think, like I said, very fair. And I think that if they need to get off at 4-star player, say they do want to they could do a sign and trade. And I think pretty much every team around the league would want a guy like Marcus Smart on their team for less than $20 million. I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff. Like, the skills that he has aren't stuff that look like a flash in the pan. They're not based around just athleticism. So unless something obviously catastrophic happens, I think it's going to be great value for that deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, you saw Tony Allen playing deep into his 30s, 36, 37, just because he was an incredible on-ball defender. Like the first Marcus Smart, or the Marcus Smart of the previous era.
Yeah, grit and grind, baby.
Grit and grind.
Marcus Smart loves being physical, and he's going to have a role on this team throughout. And I think his contract ends when he's 31, which is like usually, like, for most guys, it's still kind of right in the middle of your prime.
Yeah.
Or maybe soar towards the tail end. But either way, it's like he's not going to be old by any means. Like, he still should be producing. It's not like you're signing this deal at 30 years old. He's going to be 34 by the end of it. Right. And there's a real good chance he's going to decline by the end of it. Like, he's probably going to continue to hopefully get better. Maybe he does be able to become consistently a guy that's at least a league average shooter. I mean, that's not a huge jump to make from like 34% to like 36%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hold out a lot of faith that Marcus Smart's going to continue to improve. He's got the work ethic clearly from. So I was a big fan of that. I obviously enjoyed Marcus Smart staying in Boston. Now, finally, by Scherzer, I was a little hesitant because I knew he didn't have that many years left on his deal. But now that he's got one, I'll buy their City Edition for this next season.
Did they release the City Edition yet?
Yeah, it's like it's a throwback. It's like a throwback jersey to like the 80s.
Okay, they better wear the short shorts with it.
I haven't seen the shorts, but they look cool. I remember I saw them. I did like them.
Okay, I think I saw them, and it's just so hard to do. Like, you don't want to mess with the green and white. You know, like the City Editions have always been sort of funky, or like whatever Nike unveils with their new Celtics jersey each season. I think it's just strange. Like it's hard to appease Celtics fans because the green and white, like the home and aways, are just so classic and so clean, so crispy. Like when you change that up, like we saw last season, they played incredibly poor in the City jerseys and in the black jerseys. I don't really like the black jerseys.
I don't love the black jerseys either. I did like the City ones last year. I did think they had a very cool look. I like the City ones this year. Like I bought one, like the banner edition ones. A jersey, of course. I'm too old now. I think I hit the point where jerseys are no longer just acceptable common wear.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that too. I think I have one jersey in rotation. It's only for going to Red Sox games.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, I got Ted Williams jersey for Red Sox games, but which is just, of course, like never. So it's always going to maintain its kind of peak value. You know, it's never gonna, if you get, obviously he's not going to trade or anything. So
maybe when they unthaw his head.
Yeah, when they finally find a way to reattach his head to someone else, maybe he'll sign with the Yankees or something. But
we'll start with or we'll wrap up with Rob Williams. I mean, this is an intriguing deal. Like we got Rob 4 years. What was it? 44, 54. Correct.
It was 4 years, 54 million, 13 and a half average annual value. I compared him to Jared Allen. Jared Allen this offseason signed a 5-year, $100 million deal, so $20 million average annual value. Obviously, Rob has more of an injury concern than Jared Allen, but Rob it's either going to go one or two ways. I think you're either going to get great value or he's going to be injured throughout and you're going to get basically nothing for $13.5 million. But it's a real boomer bust, but I really lean aside that he's going to be productive enough to at least help us out in the playoffs. And we saw last year, even playing injured, he had 16, 9 and 9 in that playoff game against Brooklyn, and he was hobbling.
Celtics team record 9 blocks. I agree with you. I think that this is the most concerning contract on the Celtics because there is such a volatility around Rob with his injuries, things like that. Like he has yet. Do you know what his maximum number of games in a season has been?
I can look that up real quick. If I had to guess, I'd probably say it's like around. I think it's 50 because I mean he was fairly healthy. Even this year he's fairly healthy till the end of the season.
Yeah, so I was gonna say 40, but 50 sounds a little better.
I did see that he had only started 13 games, which just I couldn't believe it.
No, me either. But he only really started.
Okay, that's not true. That's a lie. So I'm looking at it right now. He started 13 games last season.
Okay.
So he's for his career, he started 16 games.
Well, that's so much.
Still isn't a lot, but that's I think Woj tweeted it out. So Woj is a big fat liar. That's why we're posting the sham tweets now instead of the Woj tweets.
That is.
No, but Woj
is on the way out.
Yeah, Woj is washed.
Mm-hmm.
Washed king. So yeah, he's played 32 games his first year. Part of that was injury, I believe, but I think also a lot of it was just DNPs and playing I think a lot of it was mostly DNPs. Last year he was injured quite a bit. He had 29 games, and this year he did, and he also had some DNPs in there too. Like Rob wasn't like a cornerstone of this team till really this year. And this year he played 52 games, and he had 13 starts. So
Okay.
I think injuries might be a concern, but at the same time, it's honestly not enough of a sample size for me really to say that he's like completely injury prone.
No, and I think if you can get 55 plus games out of Rob Williams every year, then that's going to be a success if he's healthy for the playoffs. That is, you know.
I always use the barometer. I don't know why I go with like 66, but yeah, all you need is like is health for the playoffs. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Right.
If he's healthy and gets him, as long as he gets tune-up games before the playoffs to kind of get his feet back under him,
Right.
yeah, he'll be fine. But yeah, I think 66 games or so, it feels like usually a good number that most guys play. Because I mean, you usually miss like a couple just to rest. Then you maybe have one little injury spurt, like one little minor injury, you miss a week or so for. That usually puts you around like 60 something to 70. Yeah. So if he can manage that, I'd be very happy. But like you said, playoffs, we need him nice and healthy. I expect big things from this year. I'm projecting he's going to average a double-double this year. I think he's going to average 10 points and 10 rebounds exactly. Like not 0-0, but like 10 and 10.
Yeah.
I bet he's going to get probably about 2 assists. I think 2 blocks or so, maybe a steal. I think he's going to shoot right around the same percentage. So I think he's going to have a really productive year. And not a huge role, but a pretty significant starting role.
Absolutely. I think he's going to start, no doubt. And he's going to shoot 65% from the field. And I think he's going to surprise us a little bit this year, especially with Al coming back. I truly believe that Al is going to be a great mentor for him. And I think Al is going to also help him expand his range a little bit to the elbows, to be able to just give him sort of the insider trading deal on what it takes to extend your range, to move out, not just be a back to the basket lob threat type of guy. Because we saw Al when he was younger, he was just posting people up in Atlanta, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Al's game kind of changed with the games too. I mean, he's still, and I think we've seen as Rob is getting more and more comfortable taking like a 10-foot jump shot. Yeah, and I think that just spaced out the court a little bit. I think his passing is going to be huge because we see with Miami, like Bam does the same thing. Like he'll hit some like 10 foot, 10 to 12 foot like jumpers every once in a while, but he's not taking a ton of them. But what we see he's able to do is just because he is dangerous with the ball in his hands, even from the perimeter, because he is a good passer. I think Rob's going to continue to show that and continue to be improve his passing and be able to make those cuts, see those cuts and make those passes in order to be effective with the ball in his hands from pretty much everywhere on the court.
Right. And having him start with Al on the bench gives the Celtics 2 bigs that can pass too. Yeah, I know we talked about it a lot last time at the deadline, or not last time, but previously at the deadline when Tice was gone, Tice was moved. We lost a big that could handle and pass the ball. I think adding Al will now give the reserves as well a playmaking center to a degree.
Yeah, I mean Tice, I wouldn't consider a playmaker. It was just comparatively to Tristan. Tice was a lot better at moving the ball. But Al Horford's a legit good passer. Like Al Horford, when the Celtics had him a few years ago, they were running a lot of offense through him through the high post. And I think they can continue to do that. And I think with what obviously the offense changed a little bit, but you can run a lot of the same things with Rob that you can with Al, which I like. Like these are similar enough players. I like Al's fit next to Rob so much better than I like Tyson Thompson because I think Al legitimately does a lot more different things. I think Al's just a really good mentor. I think Rob will continue to learn, become a better team defender with him. And Rob's got the athleticism to be like an elite defender. It's just a lot of it's continuing to get better at that team aspect, doing the little things. We obviously know he's got the ability to protect the rim, but just like limiting his fouls, improving his perimeter defense, that kind of stuff. And I think Al is going to be really beneficial. And it's going to give the Celtics a whole nother look. Like I talked about when we got him, the spacing. He's a better shooter than any big we had last year. That includes Grant, that includes Tice. Al Horford's legit. Like it's going to be, he's not going to shoot any contested shots because he's got a set shot. But if he's open, he's hitting 37% of his shots, which is huge because we didn't have that last year.
No, phenomenal. It's a great pickup. I don't think we've had a real long talk about Al. We'll save that for a rainy day, maybe down the road. But we'll certainly get into that. I know we sort of sped through this. We can touch on things later. I think we'll do maybe a schedule breakdown for next week. What do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, we could break down the schedule. Yeah, because the schedule is released. I believe the Celtics. Yeah, we could dive into that. Just thinking, we got a couple weeks till preseason too. So this might be a very light news week next week if we do something. But
that's okay. We can do the schedule next week. We'll dive into it. We'll check
maybe
out.
Maybe we'll do something fun for the fans. Maybe we'll do like a draft or something.
Yeah,
we haven't done one of those, so
maybe
we'll do something interesting. But
anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Assalamu alaikum.
What's up, boys?
What up?
Oh shit! Why can't I see Rick?
You can't see him?
I hear him, but I can't see him.
I can see him.
Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. There's that handsome mug.
So, what's the commission for this?
Like a cent.
Yeah, it's better than what I was making before. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a tag on the Instagram page.
Yeah, you might get a follower. I'll follow you from the account's Instagram page.
Yeah.
If I don't already. If I do, I'll unfollow you, then refollow you.
Love that.
Uh-huh. All right. What did we talk about? You keep cutting in and out, Rick. We talked about Summer League, about the and then about extending Marcus and Rob Williams.
Yeah. But we wanted you here for the Red Sox talk.
Yeah.
Because
about it.
I've been reading your tweets over the past couple weeks, and you seem like you're down bad. I just thought I'd text Emery. It's like, I think it'd be really entertaining to have Rick come on. I know you wanted to talk about the Red Sox earlier when they're doing well, but I think it's just always much more entertaining when you got like a laundry list of things, of gripes and things to be pissed about. So
Maddie started off. Yeah, I know we talked earlier. We want to hear your take on Hansel Robles.
He sucks.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's better than Austin Davis. Like, I mean, if we're gonna use somebody in a shit game that we're losing by 4 runs, sure, why not him?
I think the issue, I think what soured me to Hansel early, and we talked about this, Rick, was the fact that for the next like 4 or 5 days after the deadline, the first guy out of the pen was either Robles or that fucking lefty from Pittsburgh. I don't even know his name.
Just fucking him, Austin Davis, and then sometimes you get a hacksaw. And
right.
Then at least let up 3 home runs here.
It was just no good. Like what? Like these were games where we were like half a game up on Tampa, or like a game back on Tampa, and it was a 3-2 ball game. Here comes in old fat ass Robles coming on in, crooked hat and all, ready to go.
The one that really got me, I think it was who was it? The game that he balked in a run.
Oh yeah, I think that was Toronto.
I was vivid.
I think they were playing Toronto. Yeah, just shot. It was like a balk is literally just shooting yourself in the foot.
Absolutely useless.
Yeah, when you do it to give up a run too, it is as a fan, you're like, this fucking guy.
And like also as a player, how the fuck do you win that game after that?
Right.
Like, how do you watch that and you're like, yeah, I can come out here and put together meaningful at-bats for this guy?
So Rick, I have some really breaking news for you. Did you know that Austin Davis is the best FIP on the team right now?
Really?
He does. And his ERA is only 4.91 compared to Robles 6.14.
Well, he did have like a solid like inning and a half or whatever it was the other day when the game was already over.
Yeah. He doesn't give up a home run, which really helps your FIP. You don't give many dingers. Dingers account for a lot of your FIP, and he hasn't given up one yet in the Sox uniform. So once that happens, I'm sure it's going to skyrocket.
And it's bound to happen soon. Today or tomorrow.
So what were your thoughts?
He's to do it.
Rick, I have to get your thoughts at the day of the deadline. How did you feel at the time?
Empty.
You were that upset. You weren't like, oh, we're gonna get Sale back. We're gonna get Schwarber coming to us pretty soon. We got someone else was coming off injury, weren't they?
Tanner Houck was coming up.
Yeah, Houck was coming up. We'll be all set. You didn't have like that feeling at all that you just thought it was kind of the team's health was basically gonna be the biggest addition.
I didn't see 2 or 3 wins coming after that, but I wasn't excited. Like, you look at a trade deadline, and I feel like you're like, okay, the rest of the AL East that we're playing for the next month just got considerably better, and then they just don't do anything, which as a fan just kind of sucks. As a player, I have no idea how that makes you feel. I would imagine it feels like they're quitting on you, but at the same time, it's nice to hold on to the pieces you have.
It is, yeah. And that as a player, that's sort of what I mean, I'm not a pro ball player. This is me thinking about what they think. But I couldn't imagine it being like the front office is quitting on you when they've gone through trade deadlines before. They've been part of teams that are sellers, most of these guys at least. And I would have to feel like getting anybody and adding a player to your roster on the deadline has got to be sort of a cool feeling, like we're making moves, like we're trying to get better, we're trying to do this. And then to just have an insane turnaround where everybody else who bought at the deadline has gotten considerably better. Not even in the AL East. I know you can say like Toronto's pitching staff got better. The Yankees are the best team in oh, I almost puked there. Best team in baseball at the moment. But even guys like Milwaukee added Escobar at the deadline. They've been very good. They're going to win their division. San Fran went up 5 games on LA at one point, adding Chris Bryant. I mean, we saw that every other team in the league that added pieces at the deadline got better, except for the Sox.
I mean, you don't want to take away from Schwarber, though. Like, Schwarber's been good since he's been back, but that also wasn't the most pressing need, I feel like.
No, it wasn't. I mean, we could get anybody and their mother could learn first base. Like, that's what they're planning on. Like, Kyle Schwarber hasn't played first base since 2013. And that was their main reason for getting him. He's like, oh, yeah, we'll make him a first baseman again.
That was amazing to me. I guess, like, I understand that Rizzo's there, but just because I knew he was, like, kind of a utility guy, and just, like, his body type, like, he's kind of built like I am, just, like, looks like a first. Like, he does not look like a guy that's spent his whole career basically playing the outfield.
Right.
He used to be a catcher.
He came up.
He's pudgy.
Catcher.
Yeah, he's sick in the he was sick in fantasy his first couple of years because he was one of those guys you could play behind the plate.
Yeah. And in MLB The Show, he's got a second.
Yeah, that's a
catcher.
Yeah, so that's all that really matters. But
yeah, it doesn't matter his on-field production. I'm talking the show only, strictly.
No, I mean it sucks that. What was the exact package that? Do you guys know for that? Where did Scherzer go? Was it LA? Yeah. What was the exact package? Like how many prospects? Or what?
It was LA's top
numbers.
Top 2 prospect, right, Rick?
Okay,
Josiah
so that
Gray and Keibert Ruiz.
Yeah, it was their top guys, and I mean, I'm not upset that the Sox didn't get Scherzer. Like, would have been dope, but at the same time, it's a little too much for what they're trying to do at this point.
Yeah, and I don't think that the package would have been someone like Marcelo Meyer and Tristan Casas because the Sox wouldn't have taken on Trey Turner too,
Right.
Yeah, but
it probably would have been one of those guys for Scherzer, like one guy, and then maybe fucking Franchy Cordero.
The franchise.
Anything that includes Cordero's good in my books.
Dude, Cordero's tearing it up, isn't he? Wasn't he batting like 400 something down in AAA?
Yeah, then he got called up 2 weeks ago, and he had 2 hits.
He's gonna be the What did you say, Rick?
Oh, Rusney Castillo.
Yeah, Rusney Castillo. That was the name I was looking for.
Yeah.
He's going to be was the pride of Pawtucket, and he's going to be the wonder of Worcester or Worcester.
So Rick, let's hear some talk on Sox pitching. I want you to give me some takes from season long takes on Perez, Pivetta, Richards, and Erod, because we all love Evaldi. I don't need any Evaldi hate, but I want to hear about Perez, Richards, Erod, and Garrett Richards. No, I said Richards.
Pivetta,
Richards, Erod, and Perez. There we go. Okay.
Perez, I wanted to love so badly.
Yeah.
Because he was the only bright spot of last year's team. But looking back on it and seeing how dog shit he was this year, I think that just goes to show how fucking awful last year's team was.
Very much so.
they were throwing guys that I like. I've seen college pitchers that look like they're better than some of those guys that were throwing out there last year. Some guys are like lefties throwing in the mid 80s with just like no stuff, and it's like I feel like they could have found better on the scrap heap. Brandon Workman, not Brandon Workman, BJ last year getting like he got waived by them right early in the season, or he got DFA'd. Like I still couldn't believe they did that to him when it's just like the dog shit pitching they put out all year. The pitching was just so bad.
Fucking Austin Bryce, Ryan Brazier,
Hall pass.
Yep. Jesus.
Some names I never want to hear again in my life.
Never in my life.
But that's
Josh Taylor is one that
just like, why are we going to let this guy that gets us into a first inning hole every time and then continues to suck? Why do we let him pitch?
Yeah, we saw it a couple days ago, 3-4 days ago. Richards came out. It was in the doubleheader, game one of the doubleheader, against the Yanks. And Richards came out of the pen when Pivetta shit his pants, right?
Brilliant out of the pen.
Yeah. Why not do that all the time?
Exactly. Maybe just an opener.
The problem is Richards stinks it up in the first inning every game.
Well, didn't you say he looked fine? He looked fine when he came in relief.
He did in the second inning, which
in the second inning, it's not the first.
Yeah, so I'm saying, why don't you use an opener for him? Is what I was saying.
Oh, okay.
That was my theory. I was like,
an inning and a couple outs and let up a few runs, and Garrett Richards can take over every day.
I mean, it seems better than the option of just letting him get shit on, but
I think Richards dug himself a pretty big hole in terms of like Sox fandom when he was bitching day one about it being too cold. Like he was like, "Oh, I forgot. I didn't bring my jacket to the game." I was like, "I didn't know I needed to bring a jacket." Like, bro, it's Massachusetts in April. It's going to be 40 degrees some days.
If you can feel your hands, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't even know, dude. We had to pitch. I mean, Emery and I, we had to pitch in fucking early March up in Maine.
That's nothing on Rick. Rick had to sit on the bench in early March. Do the book.
You can layer up in that thing. You can put a couple layers on, but
long sleeve on the bench.
Yeah, you can double up on the long sleeve, but I mean, yeah, Richards has a lot to learn about throwing in the cold. We could teach that guy a thing or two. Overall, not a fan of Richards. I was big on him because when he was in LA, yeah, it was like spin rate is great, great curveball, one of the best like depth curveballs in the game. He's got a tight curveball that breaks, and then we realized that it's actually a slider, and he can't throw a curveball. And when this sticky stuff incident happened, he couldn't throw a breaking pitch. So that was, I think, the Richards whole experiment sort of hit the fan.
To say the least, a waste of $10 million.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like we signed him to a massive deal or anything. But I don't know. I mean, Heim, I think he's still trying to figure out like the moves he wants to make. I don't know if he's ever going to be one of those guys that's going to completely like just sell the farm in order to get these these big name players at the deadline. I think he's going to try and continue to do like what he did down in Tampa and just like maybe sign some big free agents, but for the most part, just try and sign some guys that have skills and they're just maybe not being utilized properly.
Right. The last guy, we got two more pitchers to talk about. And Pivetta is one of the trades that Heim made last year, which really panned out well. I know you and I were talking, Rick, at the deadline. No, not at the deadline, at the All-Star break, that we had one All-Star starter and it wasn't the best pitcher, like it wasn't the guy who was performing the best. And that was Pivetta. Pivetta at the All-Star break was like, what, 7-2, something like that?
With very good looking stats too.
Absolutely. He had two no-hitters into like the 6th and 7th inning at that point. Like one of those games he lost too, which is just horseshit, against Tampa.
And I know we talk about this every 5th day, but the most impressive thing, that dude could put up a 0 ERA for an entire year. The most impressive thing about him is that dude has some fucking nuts.
Oh, all the time.
They're hanging.
Nicky Big Nuts. It's fun to watch him throw because like he's just gonna go at guys. Like he'll get guys on and it's right at the batters. He's not walking many guys. He's out there performing, like hopping off the mound for PFPs, things like that. And then every 4 or 5 starts, it's just a shit show, And
I'll take the 4-run second for a few no hitters into the 6th inning any day, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a big fan of Pivetta this year, and we traded for him last year, correct? And it was we traded Brandon Workman to Philly.
Or is Hembry else?
What did you say?
Was it
Hembry?
Oh yeah, it was.
I think you're right.
Hembry and Workman, and we got Workman back this year. Eventually, cut him again because he stinks.
Both who sucked.
Yeah, but Pivetta has been probably the piece on Heim's mantle so far.
The best non-Hunter Renfroe addition.
Absolutely. I want to talk about Renfroe later, but
I mean, you count Verdugo though as well.
But yeah, you gave up Mookie for him.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a good addition. We didn't say the subtraction that came along with it.
I think we're talking connotation there. And
okay.
That's addition by subtraction.
Okay.
Okay. Last but not least, Eduardo Rodriguez.
Eddie's looked good.
No, so
that
Emery
kid so strange.
So Emery, I gotta defend Eddie a little bit. He's had, I'm pretty sure, like the worst luck in baseball.
I'll defend Eddie for the day I die, but he stunk this year.
Okay, I'm gonna throw some numbers at you, some big old numbies. I was looking at his stats, and he's basically just gotten screwed. Like he's just gotten very unlucky as a pitcher. Eduardo Rodriguez. But so his FIP this year. So his ERA is like shitty.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Oh, skipped a year. His ERA is a 4.97, so basically a 5, which is not good by any means. But his FIP's a 3.34, which his last 2 seasons before his being out last year with COVID his FIP was a 3.86 and a 3.65. It's actually, this is the best FIP of his career. He's just gotten extremely unlucky. He has a pretty good strikeout to walk ratio. He's striking out about a little over 11 batters per 9, walking less than 3. Like he's been effective, but I just think he's gotten really bad luck. And I'm surprised it hasn't begun to shake out yet, because I remember Section 10, I'm sure we all probably listened, but they were talking about even earlier in the year. It's like, well, eventually this is going to shake out. Like his FIP's low. Eventually your FIP at some point in the year is going to begin to start reaching your ERA, and they're going to kind of start to close in on each other. And his just continued to stay like steady, well above his FIP. So I think if he continues to pitch the way he does, I think eventually it will start to fall. I mean, we've been saying this all year, but I do think a lot of it has just been really shitty luck as a pitcher.
That's fair to say, but I think all of those stats, Matt, have to come with the caveat of he started the season pretty well. He started 4-0. Like he was winning games going into the 6th inning in every one of his starts. And then after, I think he got to 4-0, 5-1, something like that, and then lost 6 straight starts. Like he was bad for 6 weeks.
His past 7 starts, he has a 2.96.
Look at you coming from the top rope with some stats, Ricky.
You're fucking busting your ass.
Fake number.
Fake number, yeah. We're just we don't have any real numbers around here. We make it all up. That is surprising to me. I always like whenever I see Eddie's throwing tonight, right?
Yeah. That being said, he's only had 27 innings in 7 starts.
Wow.
Why isn't ERA one of the first splits that comes up when you go into splits? Why is it showing me his batting average, OPS against, but not his?
Because baseball nerds are trying to get rid of ERA, and it's.
I know, but it doesn't show me his FIP. It just shows me his BABIP. So I don't give a shit about BABIP right now. But no, he's been good. 3 starts through August. It looks like statistically, batters hitting 161 against him, OPS of 516. I'd like to know his ERA, but they refuse. Oh, did I find it? Nope. So there it is. Okay. Oh, yeah, his ERA in August 1.11. ERA in July 4.71. It was really May and June they really struggled.
Yeah, because he was, like I said, he was great in April. Won his first 4.
I take back.
Yeah, but he was 1-4, and he was 1-0 in June, but 5 starts of 6.23. So
I take back the shitty inning thing. That's including tonight's game, in which he's recorded as having 1 out so far. So, Eddie's back.
Eddie's back, baby. All right.
Yeah, I think eventually it's going to fall. I mean, obviously, we always talk about water finding its level. I think water is going to begin. I bet he finishes the year with like a 4 or 5 or so. Not great, but I think it's better, and I think he's honestly pitched better than what that's shown so far this year.
I'd start him in Game 3 of a division series if we see a division series.
Yeah, I guess I had to blank for a second. I was like, wait, who'd you start in Game 2? And then I realized Sale's back. So they have Sale and Evaldi, though.
Yeah. You would start him over Pivetta.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I probably would too. He's earning that.
Like we said, you just have the unknown of, is this going to be a no-hitter through 7 innings, or is he going to get tanked for 6 runs before we can even get someone thinking about warming up in the pen?
Yeah, I don't think Pivetta has much playoff experience, does he? I mean, he was on a bad.
Philly's been shit, dude, for the last couple of years.
He got drafted by the Angels, and I don't think he played for them. And
Angels are shit. He's been shit franchises. We're like fucking by far the best team he's played for. But no, I mean, I do think it matters, like having that playoff experience. I think he's a vet. He'll get it done when it comes playoff time.
I think you're right. So I agree with you, Rick. You're right.
Eddie, I also love the idea of being able to have Pivetta in the pen as a back pocket kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Along with Richards, along with Houck, along with Whitlock.
Yeah.
What I really wanted to see Whitlock start a game this year.
I would love it, but where's the room? Unless they play around with it before Tanner comes back.
Yeah.
I know that he's obviously been a starter in the minors before, but it always scares me just because what happened with Josh Bard.
Daniel
Bard, my bad, not the catcher. Daniel Bard, where he was a really good reliever, and they tried to bring him in as a starter and just absolutely just lost it.
Yeah.
So I'm always nervous when that transition happens. But obviously it's not too late in his career where I didn't think it was possible. I think it's kind of too late now, though, like you said, with Sale back. And even with Houck coming up, it's going to be hard to get him in. But I don't know. I think he's got the capabilities to do it. Maybe they try him out next year. Maybe they'll let him and Houck start some games next year. But I think his best role might just be that like long to middle relief kind of guy.
Yeah.
And that's maybe you can develop the back end guy.
Say again, Rick.
They need arms in the pen as much as they can get right now.
Mm-hmm.
The way
we saw
absolutely melting down.
Yeah. What impressed me the most with Cora's managing in the 2018 playoffs was he just turned his weakness, which was the bullpen, and he just threw a bunch of his starters in there. He was getting guys on short rest. He was getting guys basically to act as their bullpen days. He was throwing guys that had been a pen, and it worked. Like, obviously, Sales really got a pen. Eovaldi was nasty throughout the playoffs in the pen. David Price even came out of the pen once or twice, right?
Yep.
So he's willing to do that, though. So I think we'll see Pivetta. We'll probably see Richards out of the pen. We'll see all those guys because he's not afraid to do that, especially if we have some dead weight relief pitchers that we can cut come playoff time or just leave off the playoff roster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost worried to see that happen this year, though, because 2018, everything went so right. And this year, at least recently, we're starting to see Cora make some decisions that kind of make you go, well, what the fuck's going on up there?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the best strategy in 2018 and it was just the way to go, or if it's something that could implode this year just because that's how it goes.
Yeah. I also think our starting rotation was so much better than our bullpen was. Like, it was significantly better than what our bullpen was, where it's like that seems like a smart move. Now it's like our bullpen's been okay, and recently not great, but they've both been pretty mediocre, both starters and relievers. So it's like, how much of an upgrade are you really getting if you're throwing Pivetta and Richards and Perez in the pen?
Yeah.
If I see Perez walk out in the 8th inning of a playoff game, I'm turning it off.
Yeah. Perez is only there if you get like an extra innings game going into the 13th, and with the new runner rule on second base, that'll never happen.
Yeah. That's not during the playoffs, is it?
Of course it is. It's fucking Manfred. He hates baseball.
No, that can't be right.
Yeah, it's an official rule of the MLB game.
I thought it was just like speeding up regular season wise, dude. That's ridiculous.
You're telling me it's ridiculous to do that in a regular season?
It is ridiculous, but I thought he had some common sense.
No, you're smelling the roses.
I'm really overrating it. I mean, I didn't like Manfred being with, but I guess I was. MLB extra inning rule. I got to read it for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm not positive it's in the playoffs either.
No, I'm not either. I just took a stand right there. I spoke confidently.
No, yeah, it's just extra inning games.
Yeah, no shit. That's the.
I mean, sorry, just regular season games. That's the word I'm saying.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I back off.
Yeah, so get off Manfred's dick, dude.
Yeah, I think you owe him an apology.
Sorry, Rob. This is me officially. The one and only apology I'll give to you. You're not a complete moron.
Yeah, so, I was going to say, like, no, that's
edit that out. Edit that out. I don't want that hitting the waves.
Okay. I'll just like put I'll try and make like a bleep sound.
Yeah. I like that. So we talked.
I'll see if I can do that.
So we talked pitching, Rick. Can you give me your favorite player in the line?
Right now, it's got to be Renfroe.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I mean, you got your Devers and your JDs and your Bogarts who you just love.
Oh, thank you.
But you get a guy like Renfroe who you're like, well, he might be kind of mediocre this year, and then he comes in and just swings the bat hotter than anyone.
Yeah.
The same note, Kiki has been absolutely on fire.
Big fan of Kiki.
Hitting like 100 for the first month of a season.
Yeah.
And now he's hitting like 300 cents.
It was really since like the All-Star break, right?
Yeah, since the All-Star break. But I mean, Renfroe was piss poor for the first month. He was hitting like 220, and then with 1 home run and 8 RBI. And then after that, he's now what? He's hitting like 260, 255, 260.
Yeah, he and Kiki are both hitting like 255.
Yeah. After abysmal starts. I
saw that earlier. This might be fake. I'll see if I can find it.
This might be fake. Just
something like
Rick's drinking the Kool-Aid.
I think it was something like he's been hitting 600 in the leadoff spot for the past. Kike, yeah. Let's see. Where did I see this? Fucking Twitter. I might have just made that stat up.
It's all right. It's all we do on this show.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of say it with your chest, and hopefully no one fact checks you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I remember he was on a tear. We kind of talked about. I feel like last time we had a Sox talk where I think we were discussing maybe some possible trades, and we were talking about like Buxton, and then obviously Renfro's he's heated up, Kike heated up, and that's really where some of the value we need is like outfielder wise, we need a little bit more production from some of our outfielders, and first and leadoff spot we need more production. So they're able to fill those gaps, but. Are you confident that they're at least going to make a wild card spot? What's your confidence meter, Rick, on a scale from 1 to 100? 100 being they're 100% getting at least a wild card spot.
Every time they play a team like the Rangers or the Orioles, it's 110. But anytime they play anyone that actually is a good baseball team, it goes down to -%.
Okay, well, how many more times do they play the Rangers and the Orioles? Because that might they play the Orioles at least a couple more times.
They play the Yankees, the Rays, and the White Sox, and that's really the extent of the dangerous teams. They could, if they beat up on the shit teams, they will get a wild card spot.
They're right. Are they still in the second wild card spot right now, or is Oakland ahead of them?
Oakland's ahead of them.
Oakland won last night.
Yeah, so that's gonna be tough. I mean. I don't know. You gotta hope the pitching turns around. You gotta hope that especially Eddie. I think Eddie, you gotta hope gets some luck, because I don't think they're gonna make it, because their bat's been pretty good all year, especially like the middle of the order. I don't think you're just gonna be able to outslug teams at this point.
They just need to have pitching in
Nick Solak singled. They're up 1-0. Rangers up 1-0.
Well, sorry, Eddie. That's my fault.
Yeah, fucking. But. Okay, well, do you have any more steaming hot takes you got to get off your chest?
Steaming hot take. Sox will win the division in the last series of the year.
And wow. You have a lot of confidence, Rick, for someone that just shit on like almost the entire team this last 30 minutes. What?
That, or they're not going to make the playoffs at all.
Yeah, it's boom or bust. Either no chance of a wild card spot. Rick's saying that'll be the quote.
No chance.
Of wild cards. I hate the wild card game, dude. That game just like the Red Sox have never been in it, right? Since it's gone to that format.
No.
Which is like, it's just like, it sucks. You play your whole season, especially if you do have a big lead for that first wild card spot, and then you just got to play a one game playoff in order to get into the actual postseason. But,
and every team has an ace too. So I mean, everybody's gonna be throwing their ace, and it's just first team to make a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, especially say we like line up with the Yankees, like it's Garrett Cole versus. I mean, we got Chris Sale, so I mean that could be something. But also, if we're competing for that last wild card spot, we can't be like trying to time up our rotation or to play in that playing spot. We just gotta kind of throw whoever we throw out. Because normally it goes like right after the last game of the season, right? It's like the day after or something like that.
Either the day, or it's either that day or the next day or the day after.
Yeah, because I know like usually like a lot of teams can't line up their guys if they are fighting for that spot. Like it's a huge day, so that way he lines up with being able to throw that playoff game. But
I'm pretty sure what they do they build in one day if there's like a division tie, or like it's for game 163. So I think.
Oh right, yeah.
And then the next day is the wild card.
Yeah. Damn, I mean, we could get in a situation. Is there any other teams like right hot on our tail right now for the second wild card spot?
Seattle's 4 games back. Toronto's 4.5.
But not really. Toronto could turn it on, like they get a week where their starters pitch well,
That's also, you got to keep in mind the fact that the Sox had a 10-game lead on the Yankees not too long ago.
So no lead safe at this point.
No. But you can't flip that around the other way, though. I mean.
Exactly. I keep telling myself 6 games, not that bad. Could be worse. They had a 4.5 lead in the division on the Rays not that long ago.
In mid-July, a month ago.
Yeah. Once again, water's going to find its level. There's no possible way they can continue being as bad as they've been since the trade deadline.
So
Water will find its level. They'll get back afloat. But have you guys listened to the new Sturgill Simpson album?
No, but I do like Sturgill.
Are you guys like into like kind of like old school country?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, but like his that shit's good. I had to bring that up. I'm gonna play one of his songs at the end of this pod today, but I just want to make sure inform you guys that he has a new album out and it's very good.
Yeah,
it's very
don't
folk
talk
country.
Don't talk to Rick.
I don't like country either. Like I'm big time against country, but Sturgill Simpson's he's a different breed. He's built different.
the closest I'll get to country is Johnny Cash.
No, dude, it's very similar to Johnny Cash. It sounds really good. You got to look it up. I'll send you a song to listen to right after this. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Emery, you got anything else?
No, I'll just say that as much as we just went around hot seat shitting on everybody, I still love the Sox. Sox are going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the division.
Yes. Division or bust.
Yeah. Division or bust right now.
I mean, honestly, I think that the wild card spot just does scare me. So I would like to see them win the division. They can turn it on. They got the ability.
Mm-hmm.
Sale's going to help motivate them to victory.
What's happening, Rick?
And
we're getting a live update
on a Brock Holt single, even though Verdugo beat the guy to home by like an hour.
Damn it.
We just have one of the most disappointing catchers of the past 2 weeks.
Yoel Poza.
You hate to see that Brock Holt's doing it to you too.
Yeah, it's always the ones. You know what they say. Yeah, it's always. I don't know what the quote is. I'm trying to look for, but I love Brock Holt, so I can't say mad at him.
No,
could have paid him just to have him there.
Yeah, last year? Who's the guy that we paid over Brock Holt?
It wasn't Tauze Lin or whatever.
No, he's a minor league guy. It was a second baseman. It was fucking. Was it Aruz?
No, it wasn't, dude. It's someone that was like an old
Let's see. Let's look at a game from last year.
It would have been early because I'm pretty sure they DFA'd him like midway through the year.
Yeah. He was a second baseman that played previously.
But he was like a vet. He was like a veteran though.
Vet from Cincinnati, utility infielder. Can't think of his name.
Peraza.
Yeah, Peraza.
Yeah, Jose Peraza. Yeah. Yeah, that sucked. Yeah, it is. Brock Holt's just, he's good for the team. He's good for team chemistry.
Yeah.
But okay, well, it was nice talking to you, Rick.
Always a pleasure, boys.
Always a pleasure, Rick. I can't wait to see you in we got 9 days?
Yeah, dude, it's coming up.
10 days?